Hello, welcome to He's Hot but Something's Off with me, just Joey T. Allergy season is in full swing, and I know that because I'm sneezing all the time now. There's a difference between when you need to sneeze because you're allergic to something and when you need to sneeze because you have a cold or a flu or COVID. So annoying when you have hay fever, which is what I have, which is pollen allergies, because it's not that I sneeze that often. It's that most of the day, if your allergies are not under control, you're on the verge of sneezing. And it's not painful, but it's the most distracting thing in the world. It's when you feel it in your nose that a sneeze is about to come. It's like edging for your nose for like hours on end throughout the day, but like not in a pleasurable way. I don't know where that analogy came from, but it's the most annoying. Remember one year, it was the spring that I was in London for 3 months, and I was working in the office one afternoon, and just out of nowhere, that particular afternoon, the allergies just hit like really bad. And I remember I literally wanted to rip my eyeballs out. They were so itchy. Like I had to like leave work, go to the nearest pharmacy, it's like across the street or something, and get eye drops. It was that bad. I had to leave work, get eye drops, put them in my eyes, and then go back. It was really, really bad. But yeah, that's how I know when allergy season is here. It's when I start having the symptoms. So it's this itchy nose, like you're always on the verge of sneezing, but it doesn't usually come. Sometimes it does, but it's just so annoying. So anyways, January is usually kind of early. I usually expect it sometime in January, February. So this year is January. So it's mid-January right now. So anyways, after last week's episode, at the end, I alluded to wanting to do a reflection on my 2023 and maybe what my outlook is for 2024. So let's dive right into that. So 2023... it's really weird for me because COVID notwithstanding, because COVID just caught everyone by surprise when it hit in 2020. But COVID aside, my life has been very kind of sort of regular, even since my childhood days. Because when you're a kid, you're a teenager, you just do the typical kid stuff. Well, at least I did the typical kid stuff. Like you just went to school, 9 to 4 or whatever. You came home, you did homework, some cartoons, some playtime, had dinner, whatever. That was like all very normal for me. I've always lived in a city for most of my childhood, some way, shape, or form. Some cities bigger than the other ones, but it was very, very regular, very typical, very normal, right? Go to school, and it was just school, like elementary school, middle school, high school. Very, very normal. I didn't know that I was gay until I was 12. So that's when I didn't understand what being gay was. I'm not even sure I knew that the word existed. But that's when I started having gay feelings, boy and boy feelings, which was when I was 12. So that is maybe a little something extra that gay people carry with them if they kind of discover that they are not like everyone else during their childhood. So for me, like throughout like middle school, high school, that was like the extra like secret because I was closeted until I was like 16 or 17, and then I started telling some friends that were during my high school times, during my high school years. Some of them were supportive. Some of them were not that they weren't cool with it, but they weren't cool with it, but they didn't retaliate or like do anything bad to me per se. So yeah, and then after high school, went to college, did 6 years in college actually. But college, I didn't really have a life. Honestly, I remember the first year in college. In high school, I got pretty good grades, like B plus, mostly A's. You know, you had to get pretty decent grades to get into college, and I wanted to go into engineering. I wanted to go to engineering school and major in engineering in college, which I did. But you know, to be in the sciences and stuff, you need to have good grades in like math and physics and chemistry and blah blah blah, all that stuff in your senior year in high school. It's in Canada. Um, Thank God in Canada, it's not as competitive. Maybe it is today, but when I went to college and I was applying for college, it wasn't as competitive as I think what in the States would be for like the nicer, more prestigious, like, whatever, Ivy League schools, where you have to have like straight A pluses or something, and you have to do well on your SATs, and you have to have extracurriculars and all this other extra crap. In Canada, you didn't need to do any of that. I didn't go to like a super fancy. There's no like Harvard, Stanford equivalent in Canada. I guess Canada has some um, uh, noteworthy schools. So I went to UBC, which is the big one in Vancouver on the West Coast. But there's University of Waterloo is kind of has a name for itself. There's University of Toronto, a huge school in Toronto, obviously. And then there's McGill. So there's like some kind of sort of prestigious-ish schools in Canada, but there's nothing in Canada, I think, that's on par with like Harvard or MIT or whatever that has like that type of recognition worldwide, basically, as being like that, you know, elite level. So anyways, I just needed like good grades. I didn't have any extracurriculars or any of that other stuff. I just had good grades, and I got into UBC, luckily. But for 6 years, my 6 years in college, I had no social life whatsoever. It was just so much studying. And I started working when I was 16. My first job was a job that I didn't ask for or want or expected. So my brother-in-law just randomly got me a job as a part-time busboy at a friend's restaurant. So I would go, I was 16, and it was in the summertime, so it's like July and August, during my summer break, and it would be 2 nights a week. It was like Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like the quiet nights. And when I say quiet, it was quiet. I don't know if this restaurant ever made a profit. It was so quiet the Tuesdays and Wednesdays that I worked there. And on like a busy night, we would see like 3 tables. There'd be like 3 tables of people. There'd be a couple of like delivery orders and takeouts and that kind of stuff. But thank God it was never busy. But if it was a remotely busy restaurant, I would have just ruined them financially and like operationally in just every which way. I'm just not good. I'm not good at carrying drinks around, plates of food. You should see me try to carry like just a cup of water in like an airport lounge. That's like the scenario where these days I need to carry a glass or a cup of liquid from like one place to another, and I'm likely to spill it. I don't have this problem at home because I don't fill things all the way up to the top. And I have cups and mugs that are like a large size, not this like tiny little petite thing that most people use. I have glassware and bowls and stuff that I know works for me. And I never fill things up to the top. So when I'm taking something from like the kitchen to the dining room, I don't have this problem. Whenever I'm in an airport lounge, for whatever reason, I feel like I need to fill it up to the top or something. I remember I was in Haneda Airport in Tokyo, coming back from New Year's, and they had this like beef broth that was really good, and they had these tiny little bowls for the soup. They're kind of sort of shallow. It's very like spill prone, and I remember like walking from the buffet area back to where I was sitting, which is like on the other side of the lounge, and it's comical if you were to have witnessed me just like holding this tiny little cup like it was a bomb that's about to go off if I took one wrong move, and just walking like slow. This is the slowest I've ever walked, and I usually walk really fast. But anyways, total tangent. What is like college? Yes, college. Anyways, I didn't do anything for 6 years. I was just so concerned about not flunking the first 1 or 2 years. I remember the very first year engineering, and we're just doing, it was Math 102, which is integral calculus, which is something I kind of sort of learned in high school because I did intro to calculus in high school, which is not mandatory, but I was trying to like get a little ahead and prepare myself. So I got 38% on the first midterm, 38% on the second midterm, which means I was going into the final fully flunking it. And two things needed to go right for me. One, I need to completely ace the final exam. Second, I needed them to basically, what's the word? When they move everybody's grades. There's this word for it. Anyways, the thing that professors do when they like shift everyone's grades according to like a bell curve, or like they move everybody up. I forgot the term, it's on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, yeah, those two things needed to have happened to me for me to not flunk calculus in the first year. Like, you need to know like basic calculus. It wasn't hard calculus. I needed to pass calculus to like, it was one of those mandatory courses where I cannot flunk. If I flunk it, then I can't get into second year. So 38% first midterm, 38% second midterm. And I remember like, okay, I'm really fucking this up. I have to like absolutely ace the final for this course. And I did ace it. I think my final actual score was like 80 something percent it was like 80 something percent was like my final grade for the whole course. But going into the final exam with 38%, scaling the grades. I think that's the word. Yeah, basically I did ace the exam because I remember I studied super, super hard because I was super whatever, like, okay, like I can't flunk this, I have to pass this. I studied super, super hard for that exam. That's the hardest I've studied for any exam ever. And I remember getting the grades back. I'm like, wow, they must have scaled everybody by like a lot. I don't know how many other people might have flunked it or went into the final exam flunking it, but I got like 80 something percent. I was like, okay, I must have aced the exam. I passed. Okay, awesome. I did have a good time in college, kind of, but I didn't do any of the typical like American college stuff. I just went to school and had a part-time job. Oh, that's where I got sidetracked. I was talking about having a part-time job. I had a part-time job on campus with the IT help desk that they had. So this would be like doing phone calls and tickets and things like that, email, technical support for students, staff, and faculty for their emails or their internet access, or people that were living in residence on campus, their internet stuff. So that's what I did the help desk for. It was actually really a great group of people that I worked with there. So it was working on campus, going to lectures on campus, or going to labs on campus, going to tutorials on campus. And otherwise, I would just have to be studying because like it's difficult. It's not the easiest thing to do, an engineering degree. So I needed to study. So it consumed my entire 6 years. So the degree is a bachelor's degree, is 4 years, but I did the co-op program, or it's what they call an internship. Did an internship basically. Did the internship program, and that tacks on 1 extra year, and you don't really have like your summers off. If you have a regular 4-year degree, you're not doing the co-op program, you would be 2 semesters, which is 8 months, the tri-semester system. And then maybe for like the summer semester, like May, June, July, August, it would just be like a summer break, right? You could do that if you can kind of get all your credits and your courses in within 2 semesters, then you could kind of sort of have like the summer off and like do whatever, right? But I didn't do that. I did the co-op program, the internship, which means when you're not in school that semester, you're working that semester. So I didn't have any there's no summer break. There's no semesters off. You're working full time in the internship, or you're going to school full time. And I was also doing the part-time on campus job. So I only needed to do 2 co-op or 2 internship jobs, 2 internship assignments, but I decided to do 3. And the internship assignments were always 8 months a piece. So add it all up. So it was basically 6 years continuously either doing an internship somewhere. I ended up doing 3 internships, and then or doing the school. So, and I just didn't feel like I had time to do anything else. I didn't have time to like be gay. I didn't have time to like, socialize or like do all the crazy fun stuff that American college students seems to be doing, like spring break. I didn't have spring break. I was studying, bitch. So, yeah. Um, but that hard work kind of paid off. I mean, the college degree, honestly, is just a piece of paper. Honestly, it could have been, I could have gotten almost any other type of degree, and I don't think it would have changed my career trajectory because I don't think my college degree got me my first job out of college, which was with Google. It was the work experience that I had and also the internship that I had. So I was at this IT help desk, part-time on campus during school semesters. And then almost all my internships were doing IT support internally for like a corporation in their office, right? So it's like directly relevant, work experience. I've been kind of building this resume while I was in college that got me an IT support position internally at Google. So yeah, I think so up until when I graduated college, I was 24 when I graduated college because I spent 6 years there. It was just very blah. It was just very normal, very nothing noteworthy, nothing special happened. Didn't like travel, barely didn't travel. Basically, just didn't travel. Didn't really go anywhere. Didn't do anything particularly fun. It was just I was living at home the entire time, just going to school, just studying, just or working. So I mean, it did pay off, right? I'm glad I did that. I do wish that I cut myself a little bit of slack and had a little bit of fun during college, but I don't think I would have changed anything. But anyways, now I'm 25 and I got this great job at Google. This was 2010, so this is just coming off of the Great Recession in like 2008 2009. That was when it was just hard to find a job, any job for a lot of people, especially new grads coming out of college. I remember a lot of my college friends, near the end of my degree, a lot of them were just looking into grad school because the job market was just so bleak. So I'm very thankful and grateful that I got this like Google gig, and it was something I wanted to do. It was this like awesome start to my like adult life, basically out of college, and that's when I actually started to kind of like enjoy myself a little bit. My first couple of years when I was out on my own, it's like, okay, this is my first full-time job. It's with fucking Google. I moved to California, which I've always kind of had a thing for California when I was growing up. I thought like, oh, California is such a cool place to live. So everything was happening. And for like the first couple of years, it was really nice. It was pleasant. I was in Silicon Valley, which is like the suburbs. But then a couple years later, I started meeting, more and more people that were like in the Bay Area, not just within work, not just work people. Start to like kind of know more people outside. And that's when I got into like the traveling, the circuit parties, start to actually network more with other gay guys. And traveling more, so I'm meeting more people just outside of California, outside of the US as well. So that's when things got more interesting. Life got a little more interesting. I was making decent money. I was still climbing the career ladder. And I, meeting so many more people, at that time. So it's about like 2015, 2016. That's when I started traveling more, started to experience more things, more cultures. And that's when I met so many more people. And that was kind of like a bit of a turning point in my life, kind of going from just very, very normal, almost like a straight kind of lifestyle to like rainbows and parties everywhere type of a thing. So until last year, and during COVID, I didn't know this, it crept up on me, but I got a bit burnt out from work. So I've always been instilled that, oh, you need to, the climbing the career ladder was something that was somehow instilled in me from like my parents to just like society in general, I guess, in like a very subliminal way. Um, but I was slowly burning out. And there's a whole bunch of different factors. If you go listen to like my very first or second podcast, when I started this podcast 7 or 8 months ago, whenever it was, I actually talked more about how work was burning me out at that time. But not to rehash that story, I quit my job in last December 2022, and I've been thinking about quitting for a while. So for 2023 was the first year in my life where it didn't look like any other year. Again, 2020 and COVID, that aside, right? Because I didn't have a 9 to 5 job. I wasn't doing what was expected of me. Because you can look at someone's life during their first 30 some odd years and be like, oh yeah, okay, you went to elementary school, you went to middle school, then you went to high school, then you went to college, then you got a job when you graduated college, and you're doing the 9 to 5. That's very typical. That's very like expected. But to just like quit your job and not have another job lined up on your own accord and kind of not really have that kind of typical employment for like a whole year, that's not so expected. So that's why 2023 was so weird for me. I feel a little lazy, honestly. But what I'm doing for money now, it's so like you couldn't tell me like 2 or 3 years ago that I'd be working on side hustles that would be bringing me money and that would be my primary source of income. But that's what I'm doing now. So yeah, it's still, I don't know how to quite describe it, but I guess for me, it's just such a big deal because for like 30 something years of my life, it was textbook, great even. And then out of nowhere, like I just quit my job. And then for like an entire 13 months now, it's like, damn, it's like, what was the previous 30-something years working towards this year where you're just like taking a break? Yeah, so it's been weird, and I don't know if I'm lazy or just very content with not having the 9 to 5. A lot of the things about the 9 to 5 I don't like, and the warning signs were there even when I was still like working at Google. This was been like 5 or 6 years ago. I hope no recruiters are listening to this, but yeah, like I would always want to like leave the workday early. Like I would always find way. Is that a normal thing? Like no one was born to want to work in a 9 to 5, right? So I think there's a difference between like you love what you do. There's like some level of passion for your day job, which I think is great. That's awesome. Like I like doing IT stuff. I actually like doing it, but the structure of like the 40 hours 9 to 5, that's what I don't like so much. And what I also really don't like are the corporate and office politics. I really don't like that. I've bitched about this before, but my most recent job had this boss, and they would do these, he would do like a huddle. I forgot it was Monday morning, but by the way, don't schedule Monday morning meetings with your whole team. Just don't. No, just don't do that. Anyways, this bitch, Monday morning meeting every week, and then he's trying to be like the nice boss or whatever, and he would always ask everyone, oh, what they did on the weekend. My weekends are not like other people's weekends. Other people are like, I took my kids to the park. It's like, oh, my parents visited. And my weekends are like nothing I can really say. So I ended up just saying like, I didn't do anything. I was just chilling. So I just had to lie. Not that it was anything that was bad to lie about. It wasn't, I'm not like, doing anything illegal, but it's like, yeah, I was at this circuit party. There was like 200 shirtless gay guys there. Like, is that what I'm gonna bring into a meeting on a Monday morning? But I just hated that so much. And there are a lot of memes about that. And it's like, for me, I just got so tired of the corporate 9 to 5 that I would rather go and take the significant risk of starting my own businesses and being self-employed than to remain at that job like even 1 week longer. I was thinking for like months to quit that job. Like every day I would wake up and be like, I want to quit this job. For like 8 or 10 weeks, I was thinking like, I want to quit this job. I want to quit this job. I'm surprised I lasted that long. So yeah, I think I do. I'm not against going back and doing the IT and doing the 9 to 5 or whatever, but it really would have to be, and it's not just because it's like a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 40 hours a day thing. For me, it really has to be like a manager that knows what they're doing and is good at people management. I'm surprised how many managers out there, it doesn't matter what your title is, you're a manager, a director, a VP, or whatever, how some of the people are just not good at managing people, even people that are performing well and don't need any sort of special care. God forbid for you bad managers, you have a bad performer in your team and you need to like manage up their performance, okay? Yeah, but I just want to be somewhere where just have like a good, decent people manager, like a good people leader. You don't have to be like the best, but just like a decently good one, you know, someone that doesn't like go behind my back and like meddle in my projects that you've assigned me to do. Someone that checks in on you every once in a while and be like, hey, I know that you're covering for like this other person for like a whole year. Let's get you like an extra bonus, or like how can we compensate you? Like, you know, like recognize when people do a little extra work, you know, and like reward that somehow, even if it's not with money. Just be like, hey, I know you've been covering for, you know, your boss for like most of the year now. Like, I just want to say on behalf of the team, like, we really appreciate it. It doesn't always have to be money. Just acknowledging when someone is like going above and beyond to do something. As you can tell, I'm shading these bitches that I used to work for, and I'm drawing actual like examples of things that I didn't like. It's not always about the money. You know, the money is great. You know, a lot of people wouldn't be working if they didn't need the money. You know, like, hey, a paycheck is a paycheck. The paycheck is important. That's for a lot of us. That's why we're working. But you know, a lot of people, we're all just trying to get along. So if you are a manager, a director, or VP, you have people that report to you in some sort of like office job, corporate job, or whatever. Just make sure you're like a good leader to these people. You're a good people manager to these people. Like, you know, just really understand what your team is bringing and delivering to the company, to your organization. Say a thank you once in a while. Show that you actually care, you know. That's all I really want from a manager. But that's harder than it sounds, if you can believe it. So I am on the job hunt. I've kind of been on the job hunt. I feel like I'm so picky about the type of job that I want to take on. There's actually this one job that I saw that I think, oh, it could be a pretty good fit. But you don't really know until you get into the interviews. And the interview is a two-way street. You know, they think I'm interviewing me. I'm interviewing them just as much as they are interviewing me. And I'm evaluating, you know, the hiring manager. What's their demeanor like? How are they answering my questions? What kind of questions are they asking? You know, are they prepared for the interview? Were they late? You know, as a candidate, you know, I'm looking at all these things too. Just as, you know, you don't want to be late for an interview for a company that's trying to interview you. It's like, if you're the interviewer and you're late, that doesn't look so great either. So the last person that I talked to, it doesn't matter what company it was, but the guy didn't even do like just a regular like, oh, hey, good afternoon, my name is blah, and this is my title here at XYZ company. He didn't even do that. He wasn't even looking at the camera. He didn't even do like a regular, just like, hi, I'm John. I'm with the I'm the recruiter for this position that you applied for. Like, he didn't even do that. He was just like looking down at the piece of paper and just like ramming off questions. That's not the impression you want to give to a candidate. It's like, is that how you would greet a customer? Is that how you greet any random person that you see at like a store? No. It's like, anyways. Yeah, it's maybe I'm not ready to go back to like the 9 to 5. Anyway, so yeah, so I haven't been at the 9 to 5 for all of 2023, and I've really been putting a lot of effort into my side hustles. Really not my side hustles anymore, which are like my full-time businesses. They have their own checking accounts, their own savings accounts, their own credit cards, their own everything, their own everything. I've kind of made them into like proper businesses, and I'm investing so much of my time into it. And it's great to like be self-employed. There are pros and cons. I need to go get my own health insurance. I don't have a 401k. I don't have a retirement match. I don't have dental. I don't have vision. I don't have all these extra perks or whatever. I have to figure out my own, self-employment taxes. I have to figure out my own business taxes, all that kind of stuff. But, assuming that you can make it work and you can make a living out of it, the pros of that is like, I'm the boss, bitch. You hear that? I'm the boss. So there's no one to tell you what to do. That's so great. It's one of the rewards of being self-employed, to have your own business, which is risky, right? It's very low risk to just have a company give you a paycheck. But I mean, these days, a company doesn't care for you though. Like a company can fire you at any time that they want, really, in most states anyways. So we hear about these like layoffs, especially in tech, for like the last over 12 months now. Google just did like a whole bunch of layoffs again this year, as we speak. But yeah, I've kind of sort of soured a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm never going to go back to the 9 to 5, but it is so nice to, I'm still adjusting a little bit. Besides, this is where when I say I feel lazy, because I've been so hardwired that if I'm not working 9 to 5 and getting a paycheck, then I'm not working, right? Even though what I'm doing, it is bringing in money. I wish I was bringing a little bit more money, but that's how I'm working so hard to like expand those businesses and grow them and bring in more money. But it's so nice to like, it was so nice and natural for me to not have a boss. And a boss and like a leader, like a people manager and a boss and a leader, they're not the same thing. They're all like three separate things. To not have like a boss telling me what to do and to like undermine me or to like any of that stuff, it's so nice. Being my own boss, working for myself is like one of the best things. So no, financially, I'm not bringing in the most money. I'm making like a tenth of what I used to make in 2023, something like that. I haven't crunched all the numbers, but it's like something like a tenth. But like if I had to do it again, knowing I would be making so much less money and like I've got a mortgage, I've got bills to pay, okay? And I got this mortgage not knowing that I would go quit my job in a few years later. But if you ask me again, if you could rewind the clock back to December 2022, would you go do that again? Would you go quit your job knowing that the economy is gonna like tank a little bit? All these tech companies are gonna have layoffs. You're gonna have trouble finding a job. I think I would, even though I'm making so much less money and I still have this mortgage and I still have all these bills. I'm not sure I would change anything. Maybe I would have been a little more frugal with some of my expenses over the course of 2023. But I think the personal growth and like the development that I've had in terms of learning how to run my own businesses, like not just a side hustle, like running my own business, like being properly self-employed, running proper businesses, I think that's a really valuable skill to have. And having been able to invest like my full time and energy into starting up those businesses, I think in a way it's been invaluable. And I've met kind of new people through those ventures. And yeah, I think this is what 2024 is going to look like as well. I mean, there's a good company that will give me a 9 to 5 for like an IT job. You know what? I'll take it, honestly. But no job is permanent. And if I like it, if I like that job enough to stay there for a while, I'll stay there for as long as I like it. If I don't like it, I'll quit. So that's not the type of attitude I had with a 9 to 5 job before. And I found that it's a healthier attitude to have about it. Not thinking like, oh, like every time that you get a job offer, it's like an offering from the gods and you need to be like bending over backwards to the employee's every whim and everything like that. No, like I'm my own person. I'll work your job if I want to work your job. And I'm not going to be a bitch about it. I'll come to work on time. I go to the meetings. I'll do what I need to do. And if it's something I like, and I like doing the IT, I'll do a good job. That's fine. But the moment that that the company is not treating me right, the moment that, there's like way too much politics or whatever going on, just knowing that, you know what, I've made all the preparations and I have enough diversified income to actually like quit my day job if I wanted to. There's a lot of comfort in that. A lot of people, me included, just had the one source of income, like just their 9 to 5 job. That's the only money they had coming in. They have nothing else coming in. And even I went and got a 9 to 5 job now, that would be a slice of my income, but I'm not going to give up the businesses that I've started because I just enjoy doing those so much. And my ideal is that my own businesses make me enough money that I can comfortably do just that and still be able to like travel every once in a while, not be like paycheck to paycheck, be able to pay all my bills, but then also to like put money away, save money for like maybe a new house or save money for retirement and save money for like this and that, right? So that's kind of sort of my goal. But in the meantime, that's gonna take some time. But in the meantime, if I'm gonna on this journey, if there's a good company, decent company that shows up with a decent job offer, yeah, I'll take it. But then, just knowing that doesn't mean I'm gonna be stuck in a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. It's just gonna be another source of income that I have on my plate that if I want to quit that job and decide that that's what's best for me, then I can quit anytime I want, which is not the same attitude I had before. I just felt like before when I was like 25 or 30, it's like, oh my God, someone's giving me a paycheck. I can't ever shake or rock the boat. I need to do everything they tell me and nothing else, which is not the attitude that I have now. I said I was going to do a review on my 2023, and I don't know if I did a good job of that. You all know by now, if this is not the first episode of my podcast you've listened to, I ramble, but it's by design. I talk about whatever I want on this podcast because it's my podcast and not your podcast. So stay tuned next week. I do want to bring David Lamb back for some future episodes of the podcast. But yeah, that was my semi-successful attempt at recapping my 2023 and how it was very abnormal for me, and maybe a glimpse of my 2024. You know what? Like 35 minutes into the recording, I feel like I didn't really talk about the topics I wanted to, that I set out to. But yeah, this is my podcast. I'm going to talk about whatever I want. If you got some suggestions, not to be totally hypocritical, but if you got some suggestions for topics you will want me to talk about on this podcast, leave a comment on the YouTube page, in the YouTube comments for any of the episodes, because I do look at those. That's the only comment section I have for any version of this podcast. You guys seem to like it when I talk about the gay cruises, especially my YouTube audience. So yeah, if there's anything about the gay cruises you want me to talk about or want some advice about, I'd be more than happy to, I'd be happy to talk your ear off. Just comment down in the YouTube section of any of the episodes. Honestly, they all pop up whenever someone makes a comment. And yeah, until next time, bye.